Funeral services for Melinda Duckett are set for today while police look into a possible clue in her son's disappearance. 2-year-old Trenton has been missing for almost 3 weeks now, and yesterday tips led police to a stuffed animal that might be connected to this case. Melinda Duckett shot herself one day after being grilled by CNN's Nancy Grace about where she was the day her son was reportedly taken from his bedroom. The question now is, did that TV interview push Melinda into suicide? Take a listen.
Where were you? Why aren't you telling us where you were that day? You were the last person to be seen with him.
And we've already gone out and distributed the flyers and spoken.
Right. Why aren't you telling us and giving us a clear picture where you were before your son was kidnapped?
Because I'm not going to put those kind of details out.
Why?
Because I was told not to.
Miss Duckett, you're not telling us for a reason. What is the reason? You refuse to give even the simplest facts of where you were with your son before he went missing. It is day 12.
With all media. It's not just there, just with all media, period.
Criminal profiler Pat Brown and private investigator Vito Colucci, they were on with Nancy Grace just before Melinda gave her last interview, and we welcome both of you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Pat, what do you think here happened? Did Nancy Grace push too hard?
Well, let's put it this way, Alex. You know, when I was asked to come on the show today, I didn't call up Nancy and ask her permission. I didn't call a lawyer or my agent and say, is this a good career move? I came here because I was going to tell the truth. And if you ask me questions, I'm just going to give you a straight answer. And if I come here of my own free will and you ask me something and suddenly I think, oh my God, I'm going to get myself into a lot of trouble here and I don't want to answer your questions. If tonight I go home and shoot myself, will we see tomorrow CNN doing a show on MSNBC and saying, did MSNBC and Alex push Pat Brown over the edge and she blew her brains out? No, it's ridiculous.
Okay, well, so your answer is, I mean, you're making the big analogy to the case here, but your answer is a simple yes or no.
Yes.
Did she? No, you don't think she did?
Absolutely not, no.
Okay, how about you, Vito? What do you think, basically, to that question?
Definitely not. Definitely not. Pat can tell you, we do Nancy Grace's show all the time, and if Nancy doesn't like one of our answers, she's going to let us know right there on the spot. Okay, that's just how the show goes. You got to remember something. Melinda on air said, I don't really like to deal with the media. I don't like the media. Yet she agrees to go on one of the toughest shows on television. It doesn't make sense.
All right. Here's the deal, though, guys. This is a young mother. She had a missing son. We don't know the circumstances of her involvement to any degree, yes or no to that. I mean, Grace could have been perceived as drilling a grieving mom. Do you think she should have backed off on any level, Pat?
Well, when we went on the show, we wanted to make sure that we weren't unfair to anyone. But these questions that Nancy asked were very simple, basic questions. And I've dealt with a lot of parents on these shows. This is what these shows are for, to bring the parents forth so they can talk about what happened with their child and what happened right before their child went missing, so someone with information might call in and give that information to the police and help find the child. She asked simple questions. Did you take a polygraph in order for the investigation to be focused on a stranger homicide? And where were you the day before? So if anyone saw you and your son someplace, they might have noticed something else, a car following you or somebody else following you. Yeah. Melinda's answers were absolutely squirrely. She absolutely refused to answer questions that any other parent would answer if they were not guilty of any kind of crime or have any involvement in the disappearance. So she did the right thing. She asked simple questions. Melinda wouldn't answer the simplest question. There was a reason.
All right, let's get to the reaction, because Nancy Grace released a statement earlier this week about Melinda's suicide, calling her death an extremely sad development. Not a whole lot of compassion and sympathy, though, in that. Now Melinda's grandfather says Grace bashed her into suicide. So, Vito, do you see where the grandfather may be coming from?
You know, I can understand from his point of view, but you know, you have to remember, you know, Nancy said, where were you? She said, I was driving around, I went to some stores. What stores? I don't want to tell you. I drove over to here, over to there. Where did you go? I'm not going to tell you. I mean, it was really, as the show progressed, it was getting more ridiculous and ridiculous. We weren't getting any answers at all. Nobody was bashed. This happens on O'Reilly, on many different shows.
Vito, I think people might be interested to know that this was taped prior to Melinda's committing suicide. I mean, they knew that she was dead when they aired this. Do you think CNN should have pulled that interview? You think it should have aired it?
Well, you know,
did it further the case?
I don't know. I think it went on the ticker as the show was airing. I mean, at least that's my recollection of it, that it went down on the bottom of the screen right while the show was airing. So I don't know what time this exactly took place and what time they got wind of it. But, you know, I mean, I really think this part of it is much ado about nothing. It's a terrible tragedy. A young girl with her whole life ahead of you, but the show did not cause it. Nancy Grace did not cause this.
Okay. Pat, you know, a lot of times the television media can be of use in missing persons cases. Do you think this may have a negative ramification to it, that people might be tentative about coming forward and talking on the media in the future?
Not any innocent person? No, I don't think so. And I want to point out one more thing, Alex. That grandfather who's so upset with the media, where did Melinda Duckett get the gun, and where was she when she killed herself? She was in his house, and she killed herself with his gun. Excuse me, who's responsible? Let's take a look at the family, perhaps.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Pat Brown, Vito Colucci, I want to thank you both for your insights. Thanks so much.
Thank you.